One and all to this month's UK Crime Book Club pub quiz, just not in a pub, but spread across 3 wonderful locations, as I'm joined here today by my 2 wonderful guests. I will introduce them to you in a second. I'll give you all a chance to join the chat, because I know that when we arrive on the Facebook feed, that you're not always ready straight away waiting for us. I know we're a little bit late coming in today. We've had some technical gremlins, so thank you for bearing with us, those of you who have. As you can see, I am joined by my 2 guests, and hopefully you're all joining the chat now, so I shall begin to introduce them. On my left, as I'm looking at it, which is that way, is T.G. Campbell, author of the Bow Street Society series. Good evening, T.G. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, thank you very much for asking. No one ever asked me that before when we do. It's very kind of you. And on the other side of me is SJI Holliday, author of numerous novels under the name SJI Holliday and SJI Holliday, including The Lingering, The Last Resort, and Substitute. Good evening, Susie. Or are we talking to SJI today? I mean,
it's the same. I'm the same. It's the same.
Because I did wonder, with it being Halloween, whether there was an alternative persona that we were dealing with today.
Actually, yeah, you're right. You're right. Actually, yeah, it should be SJI for Halloween. Yeah,
that's it. The darker side is that. And is that the difference between the 2 sides?
No, I don't know what the difference is now. There was a defined difference in the beginning, that the SJI was more kind of spooky things, and Susie's a bit more kind of high concept, but they kind of blur.
They've blurred into one. They've merged. And TG, you don't write under your normal name. You write under a sort of mild nom de plume, initials instead of full name. Is there a difference between author you and normal you?
Oh yeah, I just sit around the house dressed like this, you know, most evenings. But and it's really sort of I think there's a little bit of a difference, really. But I do. It's a good excuse to get dressed up and sort of get immersed in the world and the period. So
embrace the character.
Yes.
Excellent stuff. Right. So thank you very much both for joining me with the quiz today. I will run through the rules for yourselves and for everyone watching along at home. The rules, they're very simple. I'm going to ask 5 rounds of 5 questions. At the end of each round, we'll recap the answers and the scores. If you're playing along at home, please no shouting out in the chat. And what I need you to do is write down your own scores on a little piece of paper or on your computer, or however you prefer. Maybe you've got chalk on the floor, whatever works for you. Just write down your questions and mark them yourselves. No cheating. Normally, at this point, I would say that we're only playing for pride. There is no prize. However, this week, that's not true. The winner this week, be it a guest here or somebody at home, will actually receive an absolutely smashing prize. Yes, you will receive a UK Crime Book Club mug, which by law you must drink from every time you watch the quiz the remainder of time.
Of course.
Right. Everyone's had their chance to join us. I think we're getting a few people joining in the chat. If you are joining us a little bit late and you find that you've missed a couple of questions, I don't know why I'm saying this now, because you won't have joined us yet. Do let me know, but I will recap the questions at the end of every round. TG, Susie, are you ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent stuff. Right. Round 1, of course, is the round I feel most obliged to do, and that is books. What is a book club pub quiz without a book round? I've got 5 questions, all about crime books coming up, some of which we'll have had answers in the monthly newsletter, which, of course, you've all read by now, given that it's such a wonderful publication. The others will be just on recent news about books. Are we ready?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's kick things off. Question 1. The Sanatorium by Sarah Pearce is set in which alpine country?
Oh, my pen's not working.
Oh, we've got another technical issue.
That's all right. Got it.
Got it. Excellent. That is the first time we've had a pen failure in the history of the
and I haven't got any more pens. Only about 400,000 of them.
but no one knows one though. Question 1 again for those who might have missed it. The Sanatorium by Sarah Pearce is set in which alpine country? Question number 2. Kate Bendelow returned with the 2nd book in her Maya Barton series, Shattered Bones, earlier this week. But before picking up her pen, Kate Bendelow worked as what? Certainly a name that might be familiar to a number of our members within the UK Crime Book Club. And if you know her previous work, then you've probably got a really good idea of what she did. Or still does, I believe. So question 2 again. Kate Bendelow returned with the second book in her Maya Barton series, Shattered Bones. But before picking up her pen, Kate Bendelow worked as what? Or still works as what, I should say, perhaps. Question number 3. The final novel of which food-loving Sicilian detective was published earlier this month, 5 years after being written and 2 years after its author passed away?
Was that number 3?
That was number 3, yes.
Yeah.
Might be a slightly trickier one, so I'll let everyone have a moment there. Question 3 again. The final novel of which food-loving Sicilian detective was published earlier this month, 5 years after being written and 2 years after its author passed away? Question number 4. It's a geographical question again here. Sorry about that. But in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Hound of the Baskervilles, whereabouts in the country is Baskerville Hall? I will take 2 possible answers on that one as well. So, geographical question again. In Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Hound of the Baskervilles, whereabouts in the country is Baskerville Hall? If anyone is late to the party, as I see in the chat, do remember that I'm going to post all the questions up in the chat in a moment. And if there's any you've missed out or at any point, do give me a shout. I'm copying them ready. And we will go to question 5 in just a moment. Question 5. Tony Forder unleashed his new series on October the 4th with The Huntsman. But tell me, what is the name of his new main character?
I know that.
So pop those questions into the chat. So anyone who's missed any, there's questions in the chat. You can all catch up. TG, you missed 1 to 4. Well, I've popped them in the chat. So I'll give you a moment to catch them up. And I will repeat question 5. Tony Forder unleashed his new series on October the 4th with The Huntsman. Tell me, what is the name of his new main character? I'll take a surname with a rank, if that works. Well, I think if you know the name, you've probably got the first name memorized because it's a memorable one. Welcome to all the latecomers. Will's just joined us as well. So that's round 1 complete. Have we got answers both?
Yes. Doesn't know right, but yeah, I've got answers.
For some.
Well, we'll soon find out, won't we? So question 1. Did anyone have a bit of a punt on this one? I mean, if you're not sure, there are only 8 alpine countries, so that might help you narrow it down. But did anyone know where Sarah Pierce's sanatorium was set?
Switzerland?
Yes, Switzerland.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Absolutely. A country completely dominated by the Alps. Yeah, it's the good guess. But yes, Switzerland was what I'm looking for. I am not naming the other 7 countries within the Alps because I'm sure somebody in the chat will say there's more than 7, there's less than 7. But according to the EEA, there's 8 alpine countries, and I'm sticking with what they say. Question 2. Kate Bendelow featured in this month's newsletter, of course. Do we recall where she worked or still works prior to being an author?
I couldn't recall that, no.
No. Well, she
was a
worked.
CSI.
Yes, a CSI. Yes, of course. Which led to her first book, The Real CSI. I have got a copy, but I don't know where I put it. I was going to have it here and brandish it around, but I haven't got it with me. I can't remember where I put it. It was with decorating, so it's disappeared. But yes, and a new book is out now, Shattered Bones, the second in the Maya Barton series. Question number 3. The food-loving Sicilian detective. Did anyone know who that one was?
I know.
I know the author. I don't know the book.
Who is? If you got the author, I'll give you half a point for the author.
Well, it's Andrea Camilleri, isn't it?
Yes,
One
it
of
was.
the Montalbano books, but I don't know which one.
Yeah, it is. It's Inspector Montalbano was the answer I was looking for. It was just
I thought you wanted the actual name of the book.
No. Yeah, just the name of the detective.
Oh, cool. Oh, well, I've got it then.
There you go. You got the point then. The book was Riccardino, written by Andrea Camilleri. Amazingly, Camilleri's breakthrough as writer didn't come until 1992 at the tender age of 67, which it shows you're never too old. We've had a couple of questions in the last few months with writers in their 20s making millions upon millions of dollars by film adaptations, which has made me feel very depressed. But it's good to see that the clock isn't completely against me just yet. Question 4. From the Sherlock Holmes novel, The Hound of the Baskervilles, Baskerville Hall was supposedly in what part of the UK?
Dartmoor.
Yes, absolutely. Dartmoor, or I will accept
I said Devon.
That's fine. You can have the point for that as well. Excellent. Cool. TG, you did say that your favourite potential quiz partner would be Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yes.
Why did you pick that?
Because all the sort of the things that I've read about him, he just seemed to know a lot of people. So he was sort of friends with Oscar Wilde and Houdini. So I think he just have a lot of interesting stories about other people to sort of talk to about as well.
Excellent stuff. And Susie, you picked Craig Robertson, another author. Tell me why you went with Craig.
Well, I don't know if you've ever watched Bloody Scotland Quiz that he hosts, but he's just an excellent quizzer. I've done lots of quizzes with him, and he knows everything, literally everything.
I'm going to have to get him on here and see if we can
you definitely
find some questions that he can't answer. If I can get one he can't answer, I feel like I've won. So I will be looking to get him on here, definitely. Excellent stuff. And the final question in that round, a bit of a tricky one, maybe if you didn't read the newsletter, which you all did, which means you all got the point, therefore, for saying that the new character in Tony Ford's new series is...
I don't know.
I wasn't sure. I don't want to commit.
Commit.
I think I might have got confused with his other character.
Well, the answer is D.S. Royston Chase.
Yeah, so, completely wrong.
Okay, then, no problem. It makes me think of the League of Gentlemen, Royston Chase. It sounds like the next Billy Joe from Royston Pacey. But no, Tony Ford back, and by all accounts, on his usual superb form. Talking of the newsletter, one of the books featured in it, of course, was by T.G. Campbell this month, who is here with us tonight. T.G., what can you tell us about the case of the Maxwell murder?
So it's the 5th book in the series, and it centres around one of the main members of the British Society. And basically, without giving sort of too much away, it sort of brings a lot of the storylines that run throughout the first 4 books together. So if you're fans of the series and this particular character, then you're definitely in for an emotional rollercoaster in that particular book.
Excellent stuff. And if you're not already fans of the series, buy the first 4 and then buy that 5th one as well. Susie, your latest novel is The Substitute, which came out only just back in August. So, tell us a little bit about The Substitute, please.
Well, it's sort of a domestic noir with a bit of a speculative sci-fi part to it. Basically, a woman answers the door to a strange man who says he can sell her insurance that will save her loved ones. So she thinks it's a lot of nonsense, as you would, but then as things start to happen to her family, she realizes that she needs to get involved, and then it all goes a bit crazy.
Excellent stuff. Now, after that first round, is anyone looking to substitute themselves out at this moment, or are we all still good?
Oh, that's a terrible joke.
It doesn't get any better. What scores have we got so far, if you don't mind me asking both?
I've got 4.
I've got 2.
Excellent stuff. Right, so we're moving on to the second round, which is the round I love to hate, Bookmanto, where we take 2 books and, like a mad scientist deep within our laboratory, we splice and dice and mix them with all things nice to create one new hybrid book that will stalk the moonlit streets, striking terror into those who see it until it's finally cornered and captured by an intrepid librarian and taken to live out its days in a musty corner of a provincial mobile book service forever overlooked until the time comes for it to rise again If that wasn't clear, what I've done is I've whacked two titles of two books together and come up with a new synopsis. All I need you to do is tell me what two authors' books I've used to create this new super book. There's a point on offer for each author that you correctly identify. So if you only know half of it, that's fantastic. I will tell you the new title and the new synopsis, and you've just got to discern which two authors it was. There's a possible score out of 10, therefore, in this round. And as it's Halloween, each bookmanto is made up of 1 part horror and 1 part crime. So hopefully that helps narrow things down for you. Everyone feeling relatively confident with this?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm in the lead. I've got 4 points. I'm not looking forward to this, but we're good. Right, so question 1. Something wicked died twice. A group of pensioners investigate a malevolent force that takes the form of a carnival led by the evil Mr. Dark. Somebody else there mixed up Royston Vasey with Royston Chase. Royston Vasey, I believe, was the name of Roy Chubby Brown. Well, I distracted right. from actually answering the question that I've set. So I'll just repeat that one. Something wicked died twice. A group of pensioners investigate a malevolent force that has taken the form of a carnival led by the evil Mr. Dark.
Oh.
Question number 2. A Song for the Baby. Retired John Rebus investigates a woman who believes she's pregnant with the Antichrist. So just the two authors, please. I don't need to know the full titles of the original books. Just the authors. Sometimes I'll give you the character there. Hopefully that'll steer you on to it. Question 2 again. A Song for the Baby. Retired John Rebus investigates a woman who believes Question number 3. Never Go Burning Girls. After moving to a town for a fresh start with his daughter Flo, former military police officer Jack Reacher must exorcise the demons of the town after his daughter begins having visions of burning girls while teenagers disappear. So again, just the authors. Question 3 again. Never Go Burning Girls. After moving to a town for a fresh start with his daughter Flo, former military police officer Jack Reacher must exorcise the demons of the town after his daughter begins having visions of burning girls while teenagers disappear.
I would read that book.
The Sonnys are just, they sell themselves. They really do. There is an absolute marketing. I mean, I know it's been done before with things like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, where these mashups do take off. But I do feel there's a massive market in it somewhere. Probably lots of copyright reasons why it can't be done. It might get a little bit litigious, but parody and fair deal. Yeah, exactly. Question 4. A Slow Fire of Hill House. When a young man is found murdered on a houseboat in London, 3 women head to a supposed haunted house to investigate the paranormal goings-on before one of them becomes slowly possessed by the building. We'll say that one again. Question 4. A Slow Fire of Hill House. When a young man is found murdered on a houseboat in London, 3 women head to a supposed haunted house to investigate the paranormal goings-on before one of them becomes slowly possessed by the building. Finally, question number 5. Apples never let the right one in. And the mother of a well-off family disappears. Suspicion falls on a 12-year-old boy and his friendship with a centuries-old vampire who inhabits the body of a child. Those questions are now in the chat for you, folks. I will recap question number 5. Apples never let the right one in. When the mother of a well-off family disappears, suspicion falls on a 12-year-old boy and his friendship with a centuries-old vampire who inhabits the body of a child. And that, thankfully, is Bookman's done for another month. Right. Have we answers both?
Yeah, I could sort of remember the title of the books, but my mind's completely blank in terms of the authors.
Well, hopefully there's a few in there that you picked up,
Mm.
and we shall see what scores we can get for you. Right. So, Something Wicked Died Twice. A common theme, I suppose, in the third act of many horror books where you've beaten the big bad and then they rise again. So I'd say it's a very plausible Bookman's there. The authors, though, did anyone have any of the authors for us?
Ray Bradbury and Richard Osman.
Absolutely, 100% correct, yes. Roy Bradbury, the author of Something Wicked This Way Comes, and The Man Who Died Twice, Richard Osman. Out recently. Richard Osman's titles lend themselves very nicely to Bookman's, and for that, Richard, I am forever grateful. Question number 2 was A Song for the Baby. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? How can that possibly turn out bad? Leave it to the authors, and they are
Ira Levin and Ian Rankin.
Yes, absolutely. Ira Levin and Ian Rankin, Rosemary's Baby, and I've not actually written down. But is it A Song for the Dead?
Song for Dark Times.
Dark Times. That's right. Yes. Ira Levin and Ian Rankin there, ruining all the good vibes that title might conjure up. Never go burning girls. Solid advice, you think? Common sense, in fact. But sometimes it's best to put these things out there. What two authors collaborated there?
Lee Child and C.J. Tudor.
Yes, absolutely. Lee Child with Never Go Back and The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. Right, so we've got A Slow Fire of Hill House, probably would have caused poor Eleanor less issues had it been consumed by fire, quick or slow. But who were the authors?
Paula Hawkins.
Yep, absolutely.
Shirley Jackson.
Yes, A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins and The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. And then finally, Apples never let the right one in. Of course they don't. They're apples. They can't operate doors. A very short tale, that, obviously. But who was it by?
Leanne Moriarty and John Alvid Linguist.
Thank you very much for pronouncing that last name for me. I was absolutely dreading that.
I don't know if it's right. That's how I pronounce it. Doesn't mean
it works for me. It's better than what I would have done. Unless John writes in to complain, we're absolutely fine with that. Yes, Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty and Let the Right One In by John Alvid Linguist. Susie, if you could rewrite a novel with a co-author, who would you pick?
Oh, God.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I haven't got a clue. I'd quite like to write with Stephen King, but I don't know which book to rewrite. Any of his, maybe.
Yeah, but Stephen King would be the answer. And T.G., who would you like to team up with?
Probably Conan Doyle, just purely because obviously often been off the year, or he at least had a bit more of an insight into sort of what things were like and stuff like that back then.
Absolutely. Of course, neither of you said me, so I'm going to have to deduct the point off both of you there, but they're the rules. We shall move on to round number 3, which is horror books. Yes, it's Halloween, and we're a book club pub quiz, so we're doing some horror books for round number 3. So, question number 1. Anne Rice wrote the novel and the screenplay to Interview with a Vampire. But which actor played the role of Lestat in the 1994 movie adaptation? I'll repeat that one there. Anne Rice wrote the novel and the screenplay to Interview with a Vampire, but which actor played the role of Lestat in the 1994 movie adaptation? which does not feel like it was nearly 30 years ago. Time is a cruel mistress. Question number 2. Thomas Harris, perhaps one of the great horror crime crossover writers, penned the Hannibal Lecter series. But how many novels did Hannibal Lecter appear in? I'm thinking of full-length novels by Thomas Harris. Yes, to answer the question that's popped up in the chat by Will, yes, it's 1 point per author in round 2, so a maximum of 10 points on offer there. Question number 2 again. Thomas Harris, one of the great horror crime crossover authors, penned the Hannibal Lecter series, but on how many novels did Hannibal Lecter appear? Question number 3. What was the name of Stephen King's first published novel? Not the first novel he wrote, but the first novel he had published. Question 3, yet again. What was the name of Stephen King's first published novel? Question number 4. What name links the creator of The X-Files and the author of Hunting Evil, The Caller, and An Evil Mind? Question 5 again. Question 4 again, sorry. What name links the creator of The X-Files and the author of Hunting Evil, The Caller, and An Evil Mind? And finally, question 5. Clive Barker, author turned director who wrote Imagica, Galilee, and Sacrament, made his directorial debut in the adaptation of his own novel, The Hellbound Heart. But by what name was the film known? Question 5 for one last time, which I will be popping in the chat as I speak. Clive Barker, author turned director who wrote Imagica, Galilee, and Sacrament, made his directorial debut in an adaptation of his own novel, The Hellbound Heart. But by what name was the film known? Talking of authors turned directors, sorry to interrupt you, TG, as you do your answers. I understand you turned your hand to directing a trailer for your own book recently.
Well, it was a couple of years ago now, but yeah, so it was for the first book, and yeah, I sort of auditioned as actors, and we went down to the Victorian Parlour in the Milton Keynes Museum, close to where I am, and then yeah, we just recorded a sort of like a little scene with sort of Miss Trent, the clerk of the British Society, and a journalist character from the books, and then it had my illustrator did a series of sketches for like a flashback, so it was really interesting, but it was a bit of a learning curve.
Absolutely. And is it something you think you'd look to do again, or?
I would love to do it again, but it was quite expensive. You can imagine getting all the cameras and the lights and everything. But I'd definitely love to do something like that again. But I would also love to do maybe a photo shoot with just people as the characters.
Yeah, excellent. And Susie, is that something that ever crosses your mind to take your books and maybe adapt them yourself into something for the screen?
Well, I've been working on the adaptation of Violet with the screenwriter, so that's kind of happening at the moment, and has been progressing a bit recently because there was a bit of a big time over the whole COVID period where everything just kind of ground to a halt, but things are picking up again, so fingers crossed, might be something happening there.
Appearing on a silver screen soon, hopefully. Excellent
hopefully,
stuff. Yeah, and obviously this is a themed quiz, Halloween edition, but I'm thinking I probably should have got you both in for the Christmas edition, because Susie, you wrote a Christmas-themed serial killer thriller called The Deaths of December. How hard was it to make Christmas bloody?
Not that hard. The hardest part about writing that book was I was writing it at Easter. And so it was kind of, the weather was getting warmer and the shops were full of Easter eggs, and I was trying to get myself into the zone of Christmas. So it was a little tricky, but it was actually quite fun to write something quite gory and un-Christmassy, but still have that Christmas spirit of killing people.
Yes. Excellent. And TG, your Christmas Crisis was far less bloodthirsty, I believe. Tell me a little bit about that and the rest of the anthology that it's part of.
So that's part of the Boat Excited casebook, and those sort of stories specifically are sort of little problems or cases that are without a murder. So it's something a bit more peculiar, a bit more unusual. Because sometimes be crime, but not necessarily always. So in that particular story, a lady who worked at a toy shop was accused by her employer of leaving, basically exchanging notes with a customer. So she was then fired right before Christmas. So society then have to go in to investigate, and they uncover the truth behind that and get her reinstated.
Excellent, super stuff. Well, next year, Christmas 2023, 2022, I will be booking you both in for a rematch. Shall we get the answers for round 3? Are we ready?
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. The actor who played Lestat in Interview for a Vampire was
Tom Cruise.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, Tom Cruise alongside Brad Pitt and a young Kirsten Dunst. Question number 2. Hannibal Lecter has appeared on screen in more than a few guises, but he's only appeared in how many novels?
I wasn't sure if it was 3 or 4.
I think it's 4.
It is 4, yes, absolutely. Yeah. They are Red Dragon, The Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and Hannibal Rising. Question number 3. Question number 3. Not the first Stephen King novel, but certainly the first novel he had published. What was the answer?
Carrie.
Yes, absolutely. Carrie. Not quite sure his career really kicked off after that. I can do what happened to him.
It was Stephen King.
Question number 4. A name that clearly bestows upon its owners the ability to tell stories that can terrify you as well as grip you. The answer to the question, what links the X-Files creator and the author, is?
Chris Carter.
Yes, absolutely. And question number 5, you might have got it straight from the name, Clive Barker, because it's what he's arguably most famous for, is the film. But the film with the Hellbound heart went by the name of?
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, indeed, yes. What are the scores looking like, both? Out of 20 at this point?
19.
19? Fantastic.
6.
6. Close call, close run thing at this point.
Yeah.
You can still take it away on the other 2 rounds.
And it's all to play for.
That's what happens to me quite often is I'm doing really well and then I get absolutely ruined in the last 2 rounds and then I lose.
Well, you never know what's about to come. This could be your downfall, but at the moment it's looking like we could be on for a record score at this point. Before we get to the next round, I want to gauge a little bit about how competitive the 2 of you are. Susie, how much do you want to win today?
I actually don't want to win. Because
you're doing a really, really good job of that as well. Yeah, fantastic.
I don't know, because I feel like there's too much pressure when you win something, because then you have to win it again, or so it's too much. I don't really like that kind of thing.
And TG, winning, what would that mean to you?
Well, I think it's more the fact that I'll win a novelty mug, I think, to be honest, more than anything else.
Yeah, I understand.
I have quite a few.
You have a collection of souvenir mugs, and this must have taken the competition to a whole new level for you.
Definitely.
What mugs are in your collection?
So basically, whenever I go to anywhere, so like a museum or a place of interest, I always go to the shop and get a mug that's got their name on it. So I've got everything from like Sherlock Holmes Museum to like Warwick Castle, and then also my family's now started buying me mugs from other places. So I've got one from Great Yarmouth, Butlins. Also now sort of branched out into Twitch streamers, so I've got a couple from them as well. So basically, anybody that says, "Oh, I've got a souvenir mug," I'm like, "Yes, I'm there. I've got it." So I've got about 40 odd mugs.
Super. And have you got a favourite?
I think probably the one from the Ave Christie's Greenways. Mm-hmm. It's a really lovely sort of China mug, and the house was lovely because I was lucky enough to go a few years ago and go on the steam train down to the Greenways Holt, and then walk through the forest, and then you come out. It's just the house is just down in the down below, and it's really lovely. So if you can get there, I definitely recommend it.
Awesome. No, it's definitely somewhere to put onto the list. Susie, do you have any collections at all, or?
For the same thing, I collect magnets. So everywhere, if I go anywhere, I get a magnet. So I've got hundreds of them because I usually try and get them in different countries, and used to just be different countries and that, but then it kind of went on to cities as well. So yeah, I've got hundreds. I've got a big bucket full of them because I don't have anywhere magnetic enough to put them all.
You've run out of fridge.
You can't just buy the sheets though.
My fridge has got a cover on it, so I can't put them in the fridge. So I've got like a magnetic sheet above my sink, and I've got quite a few on there, but that's just the newest ones. There's still like at least 2 boxes of other ones. So I need a whole magnetic wall sometime.
That would be pretty cool,
if we were to entice you back onto the quiz, if we did a magnetic UK crime book club.
Yeah, that would be where I would be there. Then I would want to win. Absolutely.
Yes.
then you would be uber competitive. Shall we move on to round 4 before we descend into any more competitiveness? General knowledge. Generally speaking, it helps to be knowledgeable. That's why we have a general knowledge round. And this time, all the questions have a certain spooky theme. I wonder why. 5 questions coming up for you about anything and everything, so long as it's either A, a little bit spooky, or B, a little bit Halloween related. Some of them perhaps maybe a little bit more tenuous than others. So, question number 1. Which famous magician died on Halloween in 1926? I'll repeat. Question number 1. Which famous magician died on Halloween in 1926? My mum's in the chat and she's informing me that my dad has a Grateful Dead mug. He does love the Grateful Dead.
There's a documentary on at the moment on Netflix. Grateful Dead. It's meant to be really good.
There you go, Dad. It was well worth you. I don't know if you knew that. You've certainly not messaged me about it. You've messaged me about the Zappa one and the Velvet Underground one, but not the Grateful Dead one. So there's a chance you didn't know about that. Question number 2. In which year was the last conviction for witchcraft in Britain? Now, I'm going to play nicely. If you get within a decade, you can have a point. If you get it right, you can have 2. Question number 2 again. In which year was the last conviction for witchcraft in Britain? Within a decade, have a point. If you get it right, have 2. Question number 3. More witchcraft. The Scottish Witchcraft Act of 1735 forbade the consumption of which food? Now, I'm going to give you options because you might never guess this otherwise. So, was it A, black pudding? Was it B, sausage rolls? Or was it C, Scotch eggs? Believe it or not, these were forbidden by the Scottish Witchcraft Act of 1735. We're in danger of Grateful Dead trivia turning up everywhere in the chat now with a t-shirt. Yeah, Addams Family musical, which Will just played in the local theatre. If you've met Will, you will know he's a tall gentleman, so you won't be surprised to know that he played Cousin It.
Very cool.
Question number 3 again. The Scottish Witchcraft Act of 1735 forbade the consumption of which food? Was it black pudding, sausage rolls, or Scotch eggs? Question number 4. What monument in South Dakota was completed on Halloween 1941? Told you it was tenuous. Question 4 again. What monument in South Dakota was completed on October 31st, 1941? And finally, question 5. Elizabeth Sawyer, the Witch of Edmonton, was executed in 1621, having been lured into serving Satan, it is claimed, by Tom. But what was unusual about Tom? I'll repeat that one last time. Elizabeth Sawyer, the Witch of Edmonton, was executed in 1621, having been lured into serving Satan, it is claimed, by Tom. But what is unusual about Tom? Now, you love a good ghost tour, TG. So
Yes.
I would imagine that these are the sort of stories that might have reached your ear on such tour. Where is the most haunted place you think you visited so far?
York is pretty haunted, very atmospheric as well. To the old streets.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I didn't have any York-based questions for you, so I
Oh.
could have let you march right back into the round if I'd have known that one there. Susie, have you been anywhere you'd consider haunted or come across something you couldn't explain before?
Yeah, I lived in a house that was haunted.
And that was actual haunted?
Mm.
In what way?
There was a little girl in it that a builder saw and thought was my daughter, and I don't have any children. And he came round to get money, and he came to the door and he said something about my daughter, and I said I didn't have one, and he kind of backed away. And then he went, well, the girl who was here yesterday, and I said, oh, there's maybe next door neighbours' kids or something. And he went, no, she was under the table.
Whoa!
That just sent a shiver down my spine. That did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I was in the house on my own when this happened, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, so we don't live there anymore.
No. And did the builder finish the building work?
He came back tentatively, but he was really, really freaked out.
Yeah.
And he said he's been in, he's obviously been in millions of houses and all sorts of weird things happen. And he said he was really freaked out. So
yeah.
And TT, have you ever come across anything that you couldn't explain, or?
No, I'm still waiting.
Give it time. Give it time. If you keep going on these ghost tours, it can only be a matter of time.
Fingers crossed.
Right, shall we do some answers for this round?
Yeah.
I didn't put the questions in the chat. I'm terrible. Let me put them in the chat for those who haven't done it. I will just fill time for a second by chatting to somebody if they missed out on question 1. Goes, oh yeah, that's that person. Right, I think that's long enough because that's so easy. Question 1. The magician who died on Halloween in 1926 wasn't Paul Daniels. Who was it?
Is that Houdini?
It was Harry Houdini, yes. Died from peritonitis, his appendix having ruptured. There does remain some question over to whether or not a serious blow to the stomach was the cause of his peritonitis, or whether it just caused him to think that he didn't have appendicitis and he just thought he'd been punched in the stomach, and that's why his stomach hurt. His insurers paid out on the idea that he'd been punched in the gut, and that was what was caused it. But medical science to this day remains unconvinced that that could have actually caused it. So yes, when people say that he died from being punched in the stomach, it's not necessarily true. Question number 2. Remarkably, obviously, it's a question in a pub quiz. So when was the last conviction for witchcraft? Have a guess.
I think it was the 50s. Helen Duncan.
Oh, it's close. Helen Duncan is the lady concerned, yes. Close with the 50s.
Way off.
It was actually 1944, and it was tried at the Old Bailey. Helen Duncan allegedly conjured the spirit of a sailor who had drowned when his boat was sunk by a German U-boat, and the incident was hushed up by the government at the time. Such was the disquiet it caused by the people who heard it. Winston Churchill called the case obsolete tomfoolery. So yeah, a point for anything between 1934 and 1954. And if you get it bang on, have 2 points because you're clearly a witch. I got that bang on. Yes, but no, very good for knowing the name of the person involved and being.
Yeah, I think she died in the 50s. That's probably why I thought it was the 50s. Because she didn't. She didn't get like. I don't think she got hung or anything. She just was convicted.
Yes, there was no hanging back then for
There
witchcraft.
was no dunking, and Duncan wasn't dunked. That's
No, and also,
joke.
also they didn't do the inhumane things that we're going to get to in question 3. Which foodstuff was banned by the Scottish Witchcraft Act of 1735? Look, there's no answer here that makes me proud to be a Scot. All right, I'm not comfortable with this at all as a Scot. All of it is deeply disturbing. But what foodstuff was banned by the Witchcraft Act of 1735?
Has to be black pudding.
That's what I was thinking, black pudding. But then I was thinking maybe.
It was not. No.
Really?
These were only banned on Halloween, but it was sausage rolls. What the hell were you thinking, Scotland? Yes.
Really? Did they even have sausage rolls?
That's
then?
what I was thinking.
I'm not sure.
They banned sausage rolls were a thing that were eaten in 1735. The exact proclamation was any pastry, pork-filled pastry products. That's the right way around. Pork-filled pastry products, sausage rolls, which were one of those number. Madly, it was only repealed in 1950, so it was still illegal to eat a sausage roll on Halloween until 1950 in Scotland.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I'm ashamed. Question number 4. Completed on October the 31st, 1941 in South Dakota, the monument was...
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Yes, Mount Rushmore. Construction began in 1927. The faces were done by 1939, but a plan to do the presidents down to their waist was halted due to lack of funding in 1941. Still one of the most bizarre yet iconic monuments, I think, in the whole world right now. Anyone fancy having their head carved into a mountain?
Yeah, I'd have mine.
No.
Any particular mountain?
Well, it'd have to be in Edinburgh, so Arthur's Seat.
Arthur's Seat.
Oh, yeah.
T.G.?
No. Not going to pick on anybody.
I fancy having mine carved into the side of Nuneaton's Mount Judd, which was once voted the UK's #1 tourist attraction by readers of the Daily Mirror or people on the internet sabotaging an online poll, whichever way you want to look at it. Still voted
I'd like mine to be normal head size though, so that you don't necessarily see it, and then you come across it and you just kind of like, you know.
Oh, blimey, there's a head in the stone. That would be better, wouldn't it? That would be better. Question number 5. Did anyone know the unusual thing about Tom?
Was he a cat?
I guessed he was a cat.
Oh, you are so close.
Oh, dog.
He was a dog.
He was a dog.
Obviously, Tom was a dog. Perhaps not that unusual when you think of animals that might convince you to do witchcraft. Anything that might convince you to do witchcraft, I guess it's going to be a little bit bizarre. But yes, Tom was a dog. Has anyone ever had an animal lead them astray?
No, but I just wrote a short story that was in a book that just came out, and I actually did have a witch that was a dog. So why the hell didn't I guess that?
You can do it. Maybe you are a witch. See, you foresaw it. TG, had an animal lead you astray?
Not in my personal life, but so I've had a short story where a pet dog was accused of murdering its owner.
There you go. Both of you got the dogs in there. I once met an alligator who tried to get me to steal him some brogues. Turns out he was just a snappy dresser.
Oh,
It got worse.
We're still a week.
That's the problem. Right, round. This is round number 5, isn't it? So what are the scores as we go into the last round?
I got 3 there, so 22 now.
8.
TG?
8.
8. Excellent stuff. Right. Last round is music. This is the last round, isn't it? Yes, it is. Music. So for this month's music round, I'm going to read you some lyrics. I am not going to sing. And I'm going to tell you the band. And where it's not a complete giveaway, I'm going to tell you the name of the song. All you have to do is tell me which novel the song is based on. That's right. All of these songs have taken their inspiration from a novel. Let me know which one. And to make it easier for both me writing this and you answering it, it turns out that because of his position within popular culture, all 5 of our books here are written by the king of horror himself, Stephen King. So yes, 5 Stephen King books coming up that have had songs written about them, and I just need you to tell me which book the song is referencing. We'll start with number 1. It's Anthrax's Among the Living. Please tell me which book these lyrics take their inspiration from. Disease, disease, spreading the disease with some help from Captain Trips, bringing the world down to his knees. Question 1 again. Anthrax is among the living. Disease, spreading the disease with some help from Captain Trips, bringing the world down to his knees. I think that's a nice, easy one at the start there. All right. Ice Nine Kills up next with their track, Hell in the Hallways. Please let me know what song what book this song takes its inspiration from. The girl that was lost, the girl no one saved, with blood on her face. Maybe now they'll remember her name. Question 2 again, because I think that's easy. Ice Nine Kills. Hell in the Hallways is the name of the track. The girl that was lost, the girl no one saved, with blood on her face. Maybe now they'll remember her name. Question number 3. The Ramones. Can't tell you the name of the song because it's the answer. So here's the lyrics. Follow Victor to the sacred place. This and a dream I can't escape. Molars and fangs, the clicking of bones, spirits moaning among the tombstones. What Stephen King book is that?
Oh God, of course it is.
So the Ramones. Follow Victor to the sacred place. This ain't a dream I can't escape. Molars and fangs, the clicking of bones, spirits moaning among the tombstones.
I wish you were singing it now.
Yeah.
I probably could have done a Ramones style thing and just shouted down the microphone. But I don't know how that one would scan. Funnily enough, I don't know any of these songs.
You do know that one, I reckon.
I wish I did. I wish I did. My knowledge of the Ramones extends to Blitzkrieg Bop, and that's about it, unfortunately. And that is a shameful fact. Yeah, that's awful, isn't it?
Have you seen the film, though? Have you seen the original film of that answer?
No, I
Oh my God!
I know. I've read the book. I've never seen the film.
Well, that won't help. You need to watch the film now.
Yeah, I don't like horror films. I don't like being scared. I'm terrible with them. I'm absolutely awful with horror films. Just it's terrible, isn't it? Can't believe I've admitted that, but I have. There we go. Question number 4. Number 4 in the hit parade. Black Sabbath this time, naming their song after the book again. So you'll just have to guess it from the lyrics. As the pages turned and the stories told from the visions he had seen, the house on the hill with the haunting eyes that call. No one left when madness came out to play its game. If you stay too long, you'll finally go insane. So Black Sabbath, number 4. Shall I do it in a Sharon? As the pages turned and the stories told from the visions he had seen, the house on the hill with the haunting eyes that call. No one left when madness came out to play its game. Sharon! If you stay too long, you'll finally go inside. That was my Ozzy Osbourne impression.
Very nice.
Again, I can't believe I've done that. So next month's quiz will be hosted by someone a little bit more normal. And question 5. Finally, Anthrax are back again. They obviously struggle for inspiration for their songs and just read a lot of Stephen King. Another unnamed song, because again, whilst not the title, it kind of has the title in it. So what book does this take its lead from? Write for me and only me, a really extra special story. Make it mine, every line, don't make me sorry. It's what I want, and I'll tell you what, you know me. I can be a very, very vicious critic. Pop those in the chat for everyone. I will repeat question 5. Anthrax. Write for me and only me, a really extra special story. Make it mine, every line, don't make me sorry. It's what I want, and I'll tell you what, you know me, and I can be a very, very vicious critic. Susie, you're actually something of a musical star, I hear. part of the world famous Slice Girls. Tell me a little bit more about those, please.
So in Bloody Scotland, I think 2015, a few of us, there was a open mic night kind of thing set up, and a few of us got together and formed a group, a super group. And basically we sat on the bar in a little pub in Stirling and sang Cell Block Tango from Chicago. And then the following year, or it might be the same year, it's all a bit of a blur, we then did it in New Orleans in the House of Blues, which was just ridiculous.
Amazing.
All like dressed up in corsets and whatever.
And yes, I imagine a year that you end up going to New Orleans is a bit of a blur, because New Orleans has that sort of effect on the psyche. What a wonderful place. Any plans for a reunion tour anytime soon? Is Glastonbury calling to you this year?
Well, I don't know. We've all, we all live in different places, and it's quite difficult to rehearse and do things, but we hope we might come back at some point.
At least you didn't say creative differences, which is, the kiss.
No, absolutely not. Well, one of us has had a baby, so that's taken up a bit of time. And what else has happened? I don't know. We just all kind of live in different parts of the country, which makes it quite difficult.
Yeah. But we cling on for that next album, and we'll have to give it a bit of airtime on the UK Crime Block.
These ears are actually from that era, because we did Cool for Cats as well at one point. So we had cat ears, obviously. So yeah.
There you go. And TG, any musical designs yourself?
No.
Given that obviously you've directed a trailer for your own book, of course you could come on board with the Slice Girls and do their music video for the next release. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
there's the collaboration that could happen.
Yeah, because that kind of like gothic corset would work out well. I think this is a great idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see,
do it.
And I obviously,
first.
Now myself a job there as producer there, because I brought this all together.
Well,
Super
there we go.
stuff. Yeah, it's all seamless. Shall we have some answers to this final round then?
Yep.
Excellent. So, among the living, big clue in those lyrics perhaps was Captain Trips. So, if you know your Stephen King, you will know that was the
Stand.
Yes, absolutely, the Stand. Ice 9 Kills. No idea what that band name means. If you do know, pop it in the chat. Hell in the Hallways was inspired by
Carrie.
Yes, absolutely. Blood in Her Face, The Girl No One Saved, etc., etc. Yeah, all the clues were there for that one. Susie, I think you got this one. The Ramones. If you're following Victor among the tombstones with molars and fangs, you're probably in the
Pet Sematary.
You absolutely are in
the
Pet Sematary.
The reason why I know that one is because it's the theme tune at the end of the first film. So the original film.
That's why I didn't know.
You should just listen to it. It's actually brilliant. It's actually probably even better than the film. It's a really good song.
There you go. Well, I'm gonna get iTunes fired up after this, and I will download it and have a listen. Question number 4, perhaps the trickier one. The clues are there. Page turned, house on a hill, madness came out to play. It was
Shining.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, Anthrax, who love the bit of the King. They're back at the end here with their track, Misery Loves Company. But the film is Misery, yes.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And the film is Misery, and the song is Misery Loves Company. Right, time to total up those scores. Do have a quick total. I'll let you get them all together. Before we go, though, Susie, tell me what's coming up for you next.
So I've just handed a book in called The Hike, which will be out next year, and I'm about to start the edits on that next week. Mm-hmm. So that'll take me to the rest of the end of the year, and then I'll be starting writing my next one after that. So but I've also got about another 10 things I want to write that I'm trying to slot in, but I'm not quite sure when that's going to happen.
I know a very familiar feeling. Time is never the on the side, is it? And TG, same to you. What can we expect from you next?
So I'm just finishing off the 5th volume of the Bow Society Casebook short stories, which will be out in December. I'll just put on the finishing touches to the next episode of the Bow Society podcast, which features a character interview with Dr. Percy Weeks. Also a bit of information about Bow Street and some interviews, and then also sort of doing the newsletter. And I've got some blog interviews coming up, which is really interesting as well. Amazing stuff. Excellent. I've been keeping an eye on the scores that are coming in. The top score at the moment looks like it's 19. TG, Susie, what have you got tonight for us? 13.
13. Excellent. A good recovery in the second half of the quiz there, T.
Just stealing around.
And Susie?
27.
27, which it's got to be a record for this quiz. Super stuff. I don't see anyone beating that in the chat at the moment. If anyone does, then we will let them have the mug. But at the moment, Susie, it looks like the UK Crime Book Club mug is heading its way to you. I will get David to send that over to you soon.
Wow, thank you.
No
I feel
problem.
really bad because I don't, I want a magnet. I don't want a mug.
Well, I'll have a word. I'll have a word with David, and we'll see if we can send you a magnet. We'll see if that's a thing.
A mug would be fantastic. I'll honour it. It'll be like a sort of Oscar.
Shrine.
Just hold up like that.
Awesome.
Get mounted.
Excellent
Yeah.
stuff. Thank you very much both for joining me, and thank you very much everyone else for playing along at home. It's been an absolute pleasure again. So all that's left for me to do is thank TG and Susie for joining me this evening. You can find out a lot more about them. We'll post links to their websites and current books in the chat in a moment. So thank you very much to both of them for joining me this evening. Thank you everyone at home for playing along. I've been Ben Bruce, and I will be next month as well. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.